Today, we're going to take advantage of GPT-4o to generate custom sales proposals that you can use to close more deals, secure more leads, or whatever you want to do. And what we're going to do this in today is make.com, which is the tool that we always use for our automations. And we're going to use a couple of different blocks here. So a couple of days ago on TikTok, I made a video around how you can generate custom Google Slides in make.com. So we're going to use that as a building block here. First, we're going to need to make a template in Google Slides, insert our variables so that we can templatize our sales proposal. We're then going to use the ChatGPT module in make.com to use GPT-4o to generate the content for our sales proposal. And then finally, we're going to generate the actual sales proposal itself as a Google Slides document. And then finally, at the end, if we have time, we might add in a form intake. So you might capture your lead data in a form. So you might capture their website details, all that sort of stuff. And maybe we'll do a bit of research and feed that into GPT-4 to then generate the custom sales proposal for our customers. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I think in this overall flow, the first step is really to come up with a Google Slides template. Now, that's not the focus of this tutorial, so I'm just going to search for a template and we'll use that in our example today. Let's have a look. Let's see what we got. So I'm going to use this one. It's not exactly what I want, but it'll have to do. Let's go with this one. So using template, let's come up with a scenario for what we're going to do today. So maybe I run a digital marketing agency and I have customers submitting their details, and what we want to do is come up with a personalized response. Now you can take this really, really far, but the more complexity we add into this, the longer this tutorial is going to be. So let's start with something simple. And if we have time, we're going to add more and more and make it a bit more powerful. So let's change this to digital marketing strategy proposal. And then let's put in today's date here. So I'm going to put in date. So for those of you who haven't used templates or making Google Slides templates for Make, what we need to do is just wrap any variable that we want to use in double curly braces like I have here. So I have date here, and maybe what we'll do is for, and then we can have company name as the target there. And let's drag these down so that it doesn't look so funny. And I'm going to reduce the size of this as well. Okay, amazing. So just to quickly show you how the variables work before we sort of move on, quickly do an example in make.com. So let's create a presentation from a template. So let's just do example, and I'll delete this right after, but let's do presentation ID, and this is called, let's call this digital marketing strategy template. Let's save that, and I'm going to quickly find this in my Google Drive. So I found it now, and then we're going to save it to my examples folder, which is what I use for my videos. And you can see that it's already pulled in the two variables that we need to populate, right? So for example, let's say Sam Altman is my customer, right? So OpenAI is the company, and today's date, we could actually just use the now variable. So in make.com, the now variable is going to be in a very sort of long format, and we want to format it a bit more nicely for our customers so that it doesn't show up like, this red text here because it's ugly. We want it to format in sort of a nicer format, something like this. So what I'm going to do in here is go here, press now, and then in the format section, what I'm going to do is do year, month, and then day. And then I'll press OK. And then I'm going to run this. And if I go back to my drive, you'll see that this is from a previous video. I will delete it. And this is the new example that we've just created. So if I open this, you'll see that it's the full slide template that we had before, except now we've got the company name here, which is the customer that we have, as well as the date, which is exactly what we wanted. Great. So let me delete this now, as we won't be needing it. So we've got the cover slide. Now let's think through what we actually want to include, right? So what I've found is it's good to include some personalization very early on in the presentation. So maybe the first slide is, let's use this as a template, right? So we say, hey, and then let's do customer name. So straight up personalization. And then maybe what we'll do to make this a bit interesting is we'll build in a research step into our make.com automation where it will scrape the customer's website, and then we will summarize it and use it here as a highly personalized opener. So we're going to say custom intro. Let's call it that. And then in here as well, you can sort of do calculations and stuff. So maybe you want to include specific pricing and all that sort of stuff, but maybe we won't do that for now, just to keep this simple. So for now, we just have this, which we just demoed, and then we have a custom intro slide, right? So let's build that research step now. So what we're going to do, there's a couple of ways you can do this, right? You can use Perplexity to try and research the customer's company for you. Or what you can do is you do a scrape and research yourself. So let's scrape first. So I'm going to use Dumpling AI, which is my product, and I'm going to scrape the company URL. So let's assume we've captured the company URL. So for this example, let's just do openai.com. We're going to get Markdown back, and I want to clean the data, so I don't want the random menu and all that sort of stuff, right? Actually, OpenAI is a bit boring. Maybe let's switch this up a bit. What should we... Maybe let's scrape slack.com as an example. Just press OK, and then we'll scrape. And then once we've scraped this content, we'll pass it into ChatGPT and use GPT-4o to generate the custom intro paragraph here. So it's scraping. What it's doing is going to slack.com, getting the content. So we've got all of this, choose how you work, all this sort of stuff. It's pretty good. So the next step is to generate the custom intro. So let's drag in ChatGPT. We can use the create a completion. And we're going to use the GPT-4o model just because of the good trade-off between price and quality. So for the system prompt, what we're going to do is say, you will help me draft an intro to a potential customer for our digital marketing agency. Digital marketing agency is called, let's call it Dumpling Digital. All right. We are experienced in working with startups and SaaS companies. Usually maybe he'll sort of name drop a bit like what companies you've worked with. I'll say the user will provide you with the potential customer's website. You will respond with a custom intro paragraph highlighting why Dumpling Digital is the right agency for them to work with. So fairly basic prompt, I would say. And then let's pass in the data that we've collected. So the content here, which is good. Might actually also just pass in the title as well whilst we're at it. Cool. And then max tokens, I'm just going to write 1000. We don't want it to be too long. Then once we've got that, let's actually go straight into the Google Slides and do the template again. So let's create a presentation from a template. Let's drag in the digital marketing strategy template, and then example is where we want it to go. And then we can see here we've got everything. So for now, I'm going to hard code company name, the date as well. Let's just do, I want to just do example date. Let's just hard code it for now. Customer name. Oh, we're not doing that anymore. Say Stuart. And then custom intro is what we're going to use, and it's from the OpenAI model. Cool. So these are hard code for now. After we've got everything set up, we'll slowly sort of start to make these variables as well, just so it's all automated. But let's do that for now. And then example, let's do tests prezzo. Cool. And then let's run through from the beginning. So Dumpling AI will go to slack.com again, scrape the content, clean it up so it's not all messed. Pass it into ChatGPT, get it to generate a custom intro paragraph based on the prompt I provided it. We're using GPT-4o here, and then we'll generate the presentation. So to go back into our Google Drive, and we've got the test prezzo here. And okay, there we go. So it's passed in all the variables. Had me scared for a second there. And then here we've got, hey Stuart, and this is the output. So you can see I need to tweak the prompt. We don't want this sort of stuff. And this is a bit too formal for my liking, so I'll tweak the prompt a bit. But you can see like it's very custom. So it's referencing the Slack website as well. So they mention workplace communication and all that sort of stuff on their website. So yeah, that's pretty good. Let's tweak the prompt a little bit before we continue. So you will use a casual, friendly tone. Don't use any placeholders. Make sure you reference key points from their website. And then I'm going to reduce the length because it was too long. So let's do 500. So before we run it again, let's think about how we can improve this flow, right? So ultimately the goal here is we get a lead, we extract the key information, so the customer's name, their website, all that sort of stuff. We use Dumpling AI to scrape the website. We get ChatGPT-4o to generate specific content for the presentation, and then we generate the presentation. So before we do the initial lead capture step, let's turn up the difficulty in our template. So we've got the custom intro. What else can we do here that will be interesting? Maybe what we can do here is we've got the intro, and then we can come up with a plan, right? A preliminary plan. So let's come up with 4 ideas. How's that sound? Let's do 4 marketing ideas. Let's copy this as our template. So digital marketing ideas, right? And then let's put in idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, and idea 4. And then let's do idea 1 explanation, idea 2 explanation, idea 3 explanation, and idea 4 explanation. So we're getting pretty complex here. Let's try do it from the beginning, see if it all works. So what we'll need to do now is we will need to break this link here. And the reason for that is right now, this is only responding with the intro paragraph, but we don't really want to make, if we do, how many variables we have? I added 8 new variables. We don't want to make 8 additional ChatGPT calls here because it'll be really slow and eventually we'll run into rate limits. So what we want to do is to get GPT-4o to generate all of our content in one pass. So to do that, we're going to have to adjust our prompt. So also come up with 4 digital marketing ideas for the potential customer. Feel free to be as creative as you want. And in reality, maybe you don't want to give the AI this much flexibility. So maybe you'll put in some examples and then say, pick from these examples or something like that. And then the magic step here is getting it to respond in JSON. So if you watch my TikTok videos, I've covered this before. We'll want, please respond in JSON format. And I will do something like this. We will do, so intro, so custom intro as a string. And then we will have idea 1, string idea 1, I think we called it explanation. And then we will copy this a couple of times. So 2, 3, 4. So that's 2, 3, 4. Cool. And we're going to have to up this now because we're generating so much more stuff. Let's do that. And then we want JSON object as the response. And let's run all of that. And then what we need here in the next step is to parse the JSON. So we've got to parse the JSON. So what that's doing is taking the JSON output from ChatGPT and turning it into a format that we can use in make.com. So we're going to need to add a data structure. So what do we have? We have custom intro. So that's text. And then we have idea 1. This might take a while. Idea 1 text, and then idea 1 explanation. Then we have idea 2, and then idea 2 explanation. Then we have idea 3, then idea 3 explanation. And then we have idea 4, and then idea 4 explanation. Cool. And we need to pass in the result here, which will be the JSON object from ChatGPT. Finally, we connect it here. And then what we need to do here now is we need to refresh the variables. And we need to pass in all of the variables from... Okay, so it's not reading all of my variables right now. So let's put these in for now. So idea 1, oh, this is idea 1 explanation, idea 1, idea 2, idea 4. And let me just make sure that this is saving, because that might be why it's not coming up in make.com. So it looks like it's all, that's why. Forgot the double curly braces here. Got to make sure you've formatted everything properly. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go back here, refresh this again. Make sure all of our content is here. Let's do, so idea 2 explanation, idea 3 explanation, and idea 4 explanation. So lots of variables now, right? It's getting more and more complex. So that all looks good. Before I run this, I'm going to quickly delete this example one we generated earlier. I'm going to run it again, and it's going to go scrape Slack. We're going to get GPT-4o to generate the custom intro paragraph and then 4 ideas. We're going to get GPT-4o to respond in a JSON, so a JavaScript object. We're going to parse that JavaScript object and then insert that all into our Google slide or our sales proposal. So we've got the test preso now. Let's open this up. Wait for it to load. So it's Slack, that's all working still. I forgot to update. The first one. So this needs to be updated. So we don't want this. We want the custom intro. Forgot to update that. So that's why this is wrong. That's all good. At least we know now. And then here. So the problem now is our ideas are too long. So the ideas are good, but they're too long, which means it's all overlapping. So a couple of things we could do, right? We could split this into 2 slides if we want to keep the ideas as long as they are. Otherwise, we just go back to our prompt and then adjust the length, right? We just say the ideas should be shorter, right? So I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to reduce the size of everything as a starting point. And then what I'm going to say is keep the explanations to a maximum of, let's say, 140 characters, right? So they don't become too long. Keep explanations should be a max for each idea. Now this type of restriction in a prompt, like 140 characters, is not always going to work, but it's better than nothing. So let's go with that for now. There are other ways to control it, but this is probably the easiest. Cool. So that should all work now. I think the final step to complete this workflow is to have that intake step, right? So what I want to do now is create a tally form. So let me just create one and drag it in real quick. So let's say lead capture, right? And maybe here we have, actually, do they have any templates I could use for this? Oh, whatever, let's just do this quickly. So short answer is what's your name? And then we'll have probably an email address. So email, work email, and then maybe company website, right? Company website. And I think that's all we need actually for our example. So let's publish this. Actually, I'm going to change the name to this lead capture example. What we need to do now is drag in a tally form. So you can use any other form. You can use Typeform, Google Forms, whatever you want. I just use tally because it's very clean and I like how it feels. So tally, I'll create a webhook. I'm going to set up my tally connection. So I'm going to just quickly set that up. Then I'm going to set all of this up. So we're looking good. Then I need to drag in my form. So I think it was the lead capture example. And then I'm going to press OK. So what we want to do now is run an example, right? So I'm going to run just the first module, and then I'm going to do an example submission. So let's do Stuart. Let's say I'm Stuart slack.com, and then let's keep this simple, right? So we've got the input now here, and we've got the different fields. So what we'll now want to do is update the rest of our workflow with the fields, right? So Dumpling AI, instead of just scraping a hard-coded value, we'll put in the company website here. Actually, yeah, company website, that's what we want. And then here, we don't need to update anything. I think what we'll need to update is this. So company name is no longer hard-coded. So we don't have company name yet, so we can get ChatGPT to extract it for us. So let's do company name as well. Right. And let's press OK. let's add that to our data structure. So company name, that's all good. And then here we will have company name. Where is the company name? I'll have to run through it again. So no, it's kind of annoying. Let's run this module. It's annoying how you have to run through it from the beginning. So let's keep this as placeholder for now. I'll update it after. So the date, this is what we did the first time round, where we're going to use format date. I'm going to put in now, and then I'm going to say the format should be this. Customer name we have from the tally form. So what's your name? And then custom intro, that's correct. I think that is all looking good. And then the optional final step here is you can add in a email or a Gmail module and send the completed sales proposal to your customer. I think we're running a bit over time, so I'm not going to do that, but let's run this from the beginning, see how it all works. So it's all running. I'm just going to need to make a submission to kick off the workflow. So maybe this time we'll do, say, a mark salesforce.com. And then I'm going to say salesforce.com. And let's submit that. And it kicked off the workflow. We're going to Dumpling AI now to scrape salesforce.com. And then we're going to go to GPT-4o to see generate the content, and it's all flowing through. Oh, I forgot to delete this presentation. Hope it will just... Okay, so now we have 2. Okay, that's kind of confusing. I should have deleted the last one. Actually, what I should do is name the slides properly. So let me quickly fix that before I forget. So let's do, I'm going to say, then a sales proposal. So now each Google Slides file will be named appropriately. But let's see what we've got so far. So we got placeholder because I didn't put in the name properly yet. The date's all good. So hey Mark, hey Salesforce at Dumpling AI. See, this is actually quite good. It's not bad. And you can obviously tweak this more with the prompt, but it was actually very personalized. It's quite good. And then we've got, digital marketing ideas. This is amazing. Every time I do this, I'm just mind blown. It's just so cool. So this is like a 3-slide sales proposal. Obviously, if you're doing this for real, you'll have more slides. I think some of the slides probably don't need to be personalized, like your pricing slides and that sort of stuff. But this is, I guess, a basic workflow for how you'll capture your leads, research the lead, use GPT-4o to generate content for the sales proposal, like custom content, and then generate the actual slides. I think the final step here is literally just to use, you can use Gmail to send an email or the mail module in make.com, and you can just add the recipient. Recipient here is the work email you collected, subject. You can even get ChatGPT or GPT-4o to generate the subject line if you want a custom subject line, custom content. Like, there's just so much you can do here, right? And that's basically it for this. I'd say this is super powerful. This is very popular as a sales and marketing type automation that you can implement in your own business or as something you sell. This is, I would say, a good first step for customers. You can obviously continue to improve this in some of the ways I mentioned earlier. But that's it for this video. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave a comment. I try my best to get back to everyone. If you enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more like it, please do give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out a lot. But other than that, I'll see you all in the next video.